Welcome to the Imperfect Prophet podcast. This is a podcast for women who wonder. Now, I have a fascination with the word wonder because I'm called Wonder Wendy. It's a nickname I got years ago, and that's a whole story. But that said, when it started, it was an homage to Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman is really cool. So who doesn't want to be a little bit Wonder Woman? You know, the bracelets, the tiara, the lasso of truth. Boy, what I could do with that thing. Anyway, before I get too distracted, that was almost 20 years ago that I was given that nickname. And during those 20 years, I've learned to embrace that I'm not just a knockoff of Wonder Woman. I am Wonder Wendy. And Wonder Wendy sometimes doesn't know there are limits in life. I'm learning this about myself. I'm 58 years young, and I'm learning about myself. And I invite you to do the same. Too often, we get stuck in routines and other things that make us think that, well, we're stuck. And you are. Trick is finding ways to get unstuck. I retired to Arizona a few years ago after my husband retired. And for a couple of years, I was really happy. I'd bike to the grocery store almost every day, make lovely fresh meals, get outdoors, go to the pool every day. Sounds like an ideal life, doesn't it? You know what? That is called being stuck in a rut. I wasn't growing my brain. I wasn't exercising my brain. I was exercising my body. I was in decent shape, but I was also growing in pain because I wasn't exercising my body correctly, and I was exacerbating bad habits. Sense a theme here? Sometimes just functioning doesn't mean you're doing the right thing. Think about your car. You're still driving it. Is it making a strange whining sound? Have you had the tires realigned recently? All those things, all those little things that are small problems can grow into big problems later on if you aren't doing regular maintenance. Even a car not moving is actually falling apart. People discovered that during COVID. Like if you don't drive your car very much, everything is drying out and getting out of shape. Your brake pads can go bad because you didn't drive your car. Our bodies aren't really that much different, and our lives aren't that much different. And yet, as we get older, we get more efficient and stop exercising our minds and our bodies the way we used to. Do you remember how you were when you were a little kid? You were always fidgeting. You were always twitching. There was something, I want to touch that. I want to do this thing. That is the joy of life. So, how do we recapture that as we advance in our lives? Pull up your chair. Grab your favorite beverage. That's why I have beverages on my cover page, because I want this to feel like we're sitting down to share a beverage. And the beverage will change depending on the time of day. Right now, it's morning. I have my cup of coffee. Basic cup of coffee, just a splash of cream. That's the way I like it. You like it the way you like it. Maybe you don't like coffee. Maybe you're having tea. Maybe it's later in the day. You're having your Wednesday wind down with a glass of wine. It's all okay. If you don't want caffeine and you don't want alcohol, have a glass of water. Make it special. Throw some cucumber in there, a little bit of lemon. I keep frozen lemon ice cubes in my freezer, so my water always tastes refreshing. So I'm here to tell you, this is a no judgment zone. You get to figure out what works for you, but I'm going to provide inspiration and talk about what I do to live a bigger life now that I'm in, gasp, my late 50s. And when I was a kid, that was old. But remember how I told you I started getting bored? I started modeling in my 50s. It was kind of accidental. I was at a casting call with my daughter. I said to the director, if you need some old broads. And at that point, I was not in the shape I am now. I was 30 pounds heavier, and she cast me in a fashion show. And it was so much fun to dress up and have hair and makeup done for me and feel glamorous for a change, that it was like a drug. And I wanted to do more. So I got more involved in modeling. I did some photo shoots. I've done a few more fashion shows. I started to MC events. And I realized that I loved being involved in my community again. That is how the wonderful bucket list life was started, kind of accidentally. Because a friend of mine said, how is it that you are after menopause and in a time in life when most people see their lives getting smaller, and yours is getting bigger. So for all of you who are worried that the parade has passed you by or that life is getting smaller, let's talk about how it can be bigger, how you can live a fuller, richer life. Like I said, the wonderful bucket list life, a life full of wonder. Now, wonder can be used a lot of different ways. And since I'm Wonder Wendy, I've discussed it. I often make people wonder what I'm going to do next. I have trouble passing on a dare. I really do. And if something looks interesting, I try and fit it into my life. That is part of wonder. The other part of wonder is that awe, that majesty that the world has good. And that can be a blade of grass in the concrete, which is, to me, one of the greatest symbols of tenacity. Grass growing where it's not supposed to. Unfortunately, that doesn't necessarily work in my backyard, but that's a whole different conversation. Where we want grass, it doesn't necessarily grow. Anyway, that blade of grass, a beautiful flower that takes your breath away. Last weekend, an owl landed on the wall of my backyard, and I just sat there and stared at it and enjoyed the beauty of that majestic creature. And then it landed on the grass and spread its wings so it could enjoy the cool of the freshly watered, sparsely grassy lawn. I live in Arizona. Lawns are tough. So, all that said, I want to share with you what I consider the 3 basic elements of the wonderful bucket list life. But I'm going to have another sip of coffee first because I love my coffee. The 3 basic elements of the wonderful bucket list life are this little puzzle right here: people, passion, and purpose. With those 3 things, you will live a very full life. Sounds basic, doesn't it? A lot of the best things in life for us are really basic and yet really hard to do. For example, exercising. I would say the hardest part is putting on your sneakers. Eating healthy. Yeah, but I like chocolate. Okay, eat some chocolate. Eat it in moderation. Don't eat bad chocolate. Only eat good chocolate. I like a glass of wine. Okay, have a glass of wine. A glass of wine. Maybe 2 or 3 if you're with a good friend. 3 things you can easily control. No, sounds easy. No, it doesn't. It sounds difficult. That's what you're thinking. You're thinking, I can't do this. I'm not her. I can't do this. I'm here to tell you, you can do this. One of my favorite expressions is the only way to eat an elephant is 1 bite at a time. I am not suggesting you go out and slaughter an elephant and eat an elephant, literally. But it is to say the biggest projects are made up of small, simple steps. I am 5 years into a hot yoga practice. I noticed some immediate changes, but now I'm seeing huge changes, and I feel my body getting better and healthier. In some ways, I feel healthier than I have been in almost 30 years. Small, incremental changes eventually will lead to big ones. So let's go back to people, passion, and purpose. If you surround yourself with the right people, you're going to find that life is a lot easier. I'm not going to say you're going to find your tribe all at once, but if you get yourself out, and I say after this podcast, you should get out, but don't just keep scrolling and watching podcasts. Go somewhere where there are actual people. And guess what? You're going to start meeting your tribe. Now, the mistake a lot of people make is to go to really crowded places and bars. Bars aren't a great place to meet people. And I'm sorry to the entire hospitality industry for saying this, because I do enjoy bars and they do have their place and time. And sometimes it's really fun to go there with a friend or 7, but mostly they're loud and you can't hear each other. And a lot of people are drunk and disruptive. So how about you find something that feeds your spirit and then find other people who share that passion? May I suggest a museum or a walking group or an exercise class or a cooking class? Classes are one of my favorite ways to meet people. Guess what? They're all people who are interested in that same class that you signed up for. Whether it's a language or a class or a tasting, whatever you do, you're going to be meeting other people with the same interest. So that's my challenge. Find something that turns your mind on. Sign up for something, whether it's through Meetup or in a community college or a memo board. Facebook has interest groups. I know, I'm dating myself. I use Facebook. Odds are, if you're a person who's interested in me, you may also use Facebook. And if you don't use Facebook, Look for whatever function your social media has for meeting people and getting out of the house. So that's the challenge this week. Go get out and find some place that'll ignite your brain, possibly introduce you to people with similar interests. I have to drag my husband to baseball games. He loves baseball. He wants to go to baseball, but he doesn't like going alone. So we go together. And as soon as he meets someone else he can talk to about baseball, suddenly they're discussing the 1970 Mets, or what was team, or who was the great player, or what just happened. And sometimes I have to admit I'm horribly confused by what just happened because I don't understand all the rules, and the rules do change. But I do enjoy watching him light up as he discusses baseball. So getting him to baseball games feeds his soul, and he meets other baseball fans. You'll hear more about that later. Get out, find people. That said, passion. Oh, kind of the same thing. I don't mean romantic passion necessarily. Problem with romantic passion is you're relying on somebody else to feed your soul. And while that is lovely when you find that partnership, trust me, I know about that. Been married 3 times. This one's lasting. Been married almost 15 years. This time, altogether, I've been married almost 35 years. Anyway, but not to the same person. I know a lot about relationships. So passion can be fleeting. You can love a person, not want to live with them. I'm talking about the passion for an activity or something that you enjoy doing, whether it's rebuilding cars, photographing birds, looking at flowers. There are so many things that people do that ignite their passion. I love being on stage, whether it's talking to an audience or acting. And last weekend I got to sing in a choir, and I discovered I love singing. And well, I knew I loved singing, but during COVID, I forgot about singing with a group and having an audience. And it was so great to do again. So there is definitely something that excites you that you should get back to. And I encourage you to do that. Again, it goes really well with the people piece. You're going to find people who are drawn to the same thing you are. Then lastly, purpose. If you don't feel like there's a reason for you to get up every single morning, it's really hard to go on. This is probably the most difficult thing for a lot of people. A lot of people dread getting up in the morning because they don't know why they're getting up. I encourage you to find a reason to get up in the morning. It can be as simple as tending a garden, caring for a pet. A lot of people find purpose because they have to get up and walk that dog, or that dog is going to make a mess on your carpet. And it provides them with purpose, and that dog loves them unquestionably. I'm babysitting my grand dog right now, and I know that feeling. As soon as I get up in the morning, his little butt is wagging, and he's so excited to see me get out of bed and take him outside so he can go to the bathroom. He's genuinely excited. My life doesn't lend itself to having a dog full time, but I do enjoy visiting with my grand dog. Maybe a dog is what it takes for you. I often find purpose in changing things. I look for things that I don't quite consider right. I look for challenges that I can correct. This past year, I was talking to a photographer about modeling, and he asked if I'd done anything recently. And I said, no, I'm really frustrated with the opportunities that are coming my way. It seemed like all of the modeling opportunities were, well, more TNA based. And here I am in my mid-50s, and I'm not sure that's what I wanted. I wanted to create something that I could call art. And he and I started expanding on that. And within a few minutes, I'd created a concept for a photo shoot that didn't quite look like anything I'd seen out there in the marketplace before. And from there, I started organizing a team, hair, makeup, had to find a new photographer because that photographer wasn't available when I wanted him, and a crew of actors or models that could be part of this project. And we all came together 2 months later and did a photo shoot. Now, I hoped to get, 20, 25 good images that would create a gallery. We had so much fun on that photo shoot that we ended up creating about 100 images that I really, really liked that told a story. And the director that I brought in for the shoot, because I knew I couldn't model in the shoot and see what was happening to my satisfaction, he helped me actualize my dream and my vision. And then when we looked at all these pictures, we decided we needed to create essentially a graphic novel, a comic book, if you will, that told the story of our photos. And our photos challenged assumptions about power and sexual dynamics and people and race and gender bending a little bit. and we were really excited by what we created. A little bit less than a year from when I had the first idea, we had an opening night in a gallery, and almost 50 people came in and interacted with our art. It was so exciting. So for me, finding things that drive me is what is my passion. And now I'm sharing my passion with you, starting a podcast. So welcome to the wonderful bucket list life. I want you to be what I call a bucket lister, living a full life, full with the right people, full of passion, zest, purpose. Oh, yeah, and a lot of wonder. Look for wonder every single day. I want you to end each day writing down where you found wonder. I think it'll improve your life. It's improved mine. I'm excited to share this journey with you and look forward to talking to you more on the Imperfect Prophet. Oh, that's me. I'm far from perfect, but I've got a message that's sent from something else. I call it a higher spirit. You can call it whatever you want to call it, and I look forward to talking to you more.